Record. There we go. And so, yeah, so this is the drop-in for kind of learning more about the, excuse me, CFUW Members Drive and the CFUW Members Database. Both of those we kind of kicked off last summer-ish, summer, fall time. It's kind of a blur now, but I just wanted to kind of give people a bit of an overview if they're not super familiar with it, or if you have any questions or anything like that about these kind of resources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll walk through, first we'll walk through the members drive, and then we'll go through the members database. If you have any questions, feel free to either shout them out or you can save them for the end. That's what's nice about these drop-ins is it's typically a pretty small group like this, so it's easier to kind of answer questions or get more into specifics about things than when it's one of our larger kind of national trainings where there's a lot more people attending and it's not as easy to kind of keep things on track sometimes. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. Okay, so this is the CFUW Members Drive. There is a link in the Club Action newsletter every week that you're able to click through there. There's also a link in the member database that we'll be going through after. But as I was saying, this is essentially where we have kind of archives, information about the previous biennium and the current biennium. And essentially, like I was saying, anything that kind of existed on the members only side of the website or the CFUW admin part previously. So essentially, like when we set up the new website, we were like, okay, we need somewhere for all of this information to continue to live because it is such a wealth of information. We have so much information. But we wanted to keep the CFUW website more public facing. So there's not as, we wanted to keep it public facing. So we wanted to make sure that there was somewhere that we could have this information that may have some more personal contact info and stuff like that. And so we came up with the idea of the members drive. So as you can see, like I said, it's broken into essentially 3 sections. So there's the archives, which is anything that we had before 2022. So if you go into the archives, you'll see it's broken down into board of director meetings, an archive of GWIE blasts that had gone out previously, the membership matters newsletter that used to go out, past president bios. So that was something that we put together for the 100th anniversary of CFUW, and you're able to go in and past president bios, and we have bios of all of the presidents, past presidents, up until 2016. So that's something that people are looking for sometimes, and so it's available in the archives, as well as CFUW admin archive. So that was the specific kind of more administrative stuff. So we have archives of action plans all the way back to 2013, annual reports all the way back to 2015, financial archives, and partnership archives that used to exist on the website, specifically GWI. So this is kind of the more archives. We want to make sure that we still have this information available to members if they would like the past presidents bios. That's really helpful information to have for things, but more archival type information. And we have a lot of archival stuff on our own end at the national office. We have it's a program called SharePoint, which is our kind of file management system. And so there's a lot of stuff that we have. So this isn't all our archives, but this is stuff that used to live on the website, and we wanted to make sure it's still available for people. So next up, there's the biennium, the previous biennium, so 2022, 2024, and how we want this drive to work going forward is there will always be like the two main bienniums. So the immediately previous one and the one we're currently in. And then as we enter a new biennium, so for example, once we go into 2026, 2028, this biennium will be archived, and it will be biennium 2024, biennium 2028, 2020, 2026, 2028. Kind of keeping that first immediate past biennium, current biennium, and the others in archives just for relevant information. So biennium 2022-2024, that has, it's not fully filled out because it was a lot of focusing on the current biennium and then chasing after people for information from this previous one. But you can find newsletter archives through 2022 to 2024. They're available here, as well as some of the committees that we have. You're able to access their kind of archives in terms of meeting minutes, stuff like that. Previous AGMs and conferences during this time, so 2022 and 2023. And national board information, so the minute book from 2022, 2024, as well as the motions log. And we had a 100th anniversary video that I believe Joy Hurst did for that. But most of the stuff that you will be looking for or will want to access will be in the biennium 2024-2026. That's our current biennium. And this is how it's broken down. So we have the CFUW branding. So that was the branding that we introduced last year in terms of the new logo, the different primarily the new logo, but CFUW branding. So under there, we have a lot of different resources related to branding. So we have the logos for each club, as well as the national logos, as well as the guidelines, which includes the color codes that all of our colors are, everything like that. If you ever have something that you want with the logo on it and you need like a different file type, or it needs to be a different size, or you're having issues with the logo, you're welcome to reach out to me and I can help you with that. We also have a template of the certificate of recognition that clubs like to give out. And some clubs request us to print them at the office, but we do have the template in here that clubs are welcome to print for themselves. We have membership card templates. We have newsletter headers, we have the email signature template, name tag template. The PowerPoint template is really helpful if you are doing a club presentation and you wanted to use kind of our brand, like the national branding for the PowerPoint. Stationery templates, so this covers everything from letterheads to business cards, labels, envelope templates. They gave us quite a lot of stuff when we did the branding. Zoom backgrounds. And then we also have the resources folder here, which has the branding rollouts that we did. So that was when we introduced the branding, explained the new logo, everything like that. We have both the PowerPoint presentations and the recording of the October 24th presentation that you're welcome to revisit, as well as different like social media information I shared, as well as a branding demonstration I did. So this is all available under the CFUW branding section. CFUW committees, that is all of the committees that CFUW has, both study groups and subcommittees. And so this is where all of their meeting minutes, projects, stuff like that is being held. We wanted to make sure kind of going forward as we were figuring out the members drive and what we wanted to include. We know that members are very interested in what committees are up to, and we want to make sure that people can learn what they're up to and have that kind of level of transparency sort of thing. So each committee, I just clicked on the communications committee as an example, but it's all broken down into these 6 folders. So meetings, projects, resources, newsletter materials, and special editions. Admin, so committee structure, policy, and then workshops and pre-AGM workshops. And then each one, so for example, go into meetings, varying levels of how complete some of these committees are because we're still introducing people to a new system, getting people used to it. Excuse me, but each one should have at least the meetings. You can go into a meeting, you can see the agenda, the meeting minutes for the previous meeting, and in the communications committee, we were working on the organizational chart that we shared, the updated one in the newsletter. So those materials are included in here as that was part of our meeting. So it is helpful both for those who are members of committees as well as those who are just kind of curious what the committees are up to or wanting to learn more. So we have all of the committees and subcommittees and study groups in here for committees. Next up is the CFUW organizational documents. So these are the budget, admin volume 1 and 2, our articles and bylaws, the articles of incorporation, and our finance policies. So if you're ever looking for example, our like registered, I think charity number, business number, whichever one it is, it's in the articles of incorporation in that document. The budget is available for people to see. Admin volume 2 is just admin volume 1 and 2, just a mass of information, but those are available there. Yeah, so these are kind of the more business side organizational documents kind of thing. Next up is national AGMs and conferences. So we have the 2 previous AGMs and conferences and then the upcoming one. So there's not much in here yet, information about sponsorship that we will be hoping to get for the conference. But for the AGM and conference, this is where the AGM materials and that are available. So we have the at a glance, we have the business and finance booklet, annual reports, and the policy session booklet. So these are updated both in English and French prior to AGMs and conferences. They're available on the website, but they're also available here. We want to make sure that it's easy to access these important documents. So then, board of directors, we have the board motions throughout the biennium, as well as the meeting minutes. So again, if you're ever kind of curious what's going on at board meetings, you can find it here. Again, just kind of that, we wanted to have that kind of level of transparency sort of thing, make these things available, and they are important things to be accessed. But finally, we have the resource hub, which is kind of a catch-all area for different resources that are helpful for advocacy or for clubs or for membership or for just, like I said, kind of a catch-all area of stuff that didn't necessarily fit into those other sections, but we think are important for clubs and members to have access to. So first off, we have the advocacy resources. So under here, we have the advocacy handbook and everything that's part of the advocacy handbook available to you to review or reference if you're doing advocacy at your own club. We have the advocacy library, which is a pretty cool thing I like to point out during these drop-ins. So basically, I clicked on the wrong thing, advocacy library. So basically this is sorted by kind of every big kind of topic that CFUW has done any advocacy on, and any resources we have from that advocacy that we found in our own archives at the national office, or different things. So for example, if we go to, let's see, what's going on in arts funding. Yeah, so each one is broken down into letters and statements, and then research, briefs, and resources. So CFUW wrote a letter regarding arts funding in 2008, and so we have reference to that, as well as, I guess we didn't do any briefs, but yeah, so essentially this is an archive of everything we've done on these issues. So housing and homelessness. So these are all different joint letters or letters regarding specific bills, the housing strategy from 2017, template letters regarding youth homelessness youth homelessness that were written in 2018. And then again, if we go over here, we have like an election backgrounder regarding specifically housing and homelessness, a handout that was created in 2018, some research notes regarding housing from 2024, a toolkit for the National Housing Strategy. So these are really helpful resources for clubs that perhaps are interested to see what CFUW has done previously on a certain issue, if there's existing template letters that they can use and kind of make more relevant or update some information in them and use them to send them to their members of parliament or whoever the target of the letter may be, and just see kind of what we have in terms of these issues. And I think it's a great thing to point out because it's a wealth of knowledge, and it's really helpful, I think, to see what CFUW has done previously to help kind of shape advocacy going forward. And then finally, we have the resolutions. So we have the previous fall advocacy packages available in here. We have the archived resolutions book, as well as the adopted resolutions book, guide to reviewing resolutions, resolutions, information and guidelines. So this is kind of all the information regarding resolutions is under advocacy resources here. Back to the main resource hub. So then CFUW National Social Media. So what I like to share in here is different, essentially social media graphics that we have created at National that are able to be used by CFUW clubs on their own social media. So it's broken down into kind of different categories. So there's like a general kind of subscribe to the newsletter, different holidays, some existing kind of like feminist or like women's empowerment quotes, how committees work, different advocacy initiatives, resolution promotion. You may have seen on our social medias, we've been promoting some older resolutions as well as resolutions that were just recently passed at the AGM. And then also in here, there's a list that we have of kind of special events or commemorative dates that are related to gender equity, which is helpful for clubs if they're curious in terms of different international days, whether it's for planning events or your own social media or stuff like that. So that's the social media section. National webinars and trainings. So whenever we do a webinar or training kind of at the national level, we want to make sure that it is kept while I'm recording this one and able to be referenced by other members, clubs going forward on the drive. So for example, I did a Canva 101 training. So the PowerPoint is included in here. The advocacy op-ed writing workshop, that's in here as well. The advocacy toolbox webinar, the branding demonstrations and branding rollouts that I mentioned earlier are also in here. The Finance and Treasurer webinar that we have in January regarding kind of dues and everything like that is in here. We had a GWI town hall, previous membership drive training that we did. So all of kind of the trainings and webinars that we do, like I said, at the national level, we like to keep so that people are able to access them and review them, and people find them to be helpful refreshers, especially going into a new CFUW year, to make sure that just to kind of refresh. We have club resources. So this includes information about like our affinity program. We have a members drive resource document in here, which is a really great toolkit essentially that Mabinti put together that outlines the members drive, which we're going through right now, by like the different folders, how to navigate the members drive, what's included in the archives, breaking down each folder by what's included and everything like that. The resource hub that we're in right now, the folders template, and then some kind of essential resources you might have missed. So branding, resources, how to download and download documents, how to make sure to kind of save it on your computer, everything like that. So this is a really helpful guide that Mabinti put together. So that's available under Club Resources. We have information's membership fact sheet, which is helpful when it's club dues time to confirm life member versus honorary member, those kind of things. We have the event calendar how-to, which is part of the database, member database, club in a bag, pre-existing I belong to CFUW because PowerPoint that clubs are welcome to use or make their own, how to submit your membership dues, do the president now what, as well as kind of the Zoom resource document and the Zoom meeting request form for booking Zoom meetings with the CFUW National Zoom account. That's club resources. Next up, we have kind of a diversity, equity, and inclusion resource folder, which includes our diversity and inclusion toolkit that we have updated recently, a general land acknowledgement that we have if clubs are kind of looking for one. We have from different organizations some inclusion or allyship tips for the 2S LGBTQIA community, as well as kind of a glossary of different terms specifically for 2S LGBTQ plus community. So we're always kind of expanding this in different ways to make sure that we're being inclusionary and stuff like that. Then membership recruitment resources. So in here, I put together a list of different student associations across the country at different colleges and universities, as well as more of a general college and university contact list. So it's kept pretty general because there is turnover in these associations, but different student associations, if clubs wanted to reach out to their kind of local university in terms of working with them or connecting with the student associations. Different resources for recruitment. So we have a review guide that clubs can use, CFUW elevator pitch, a membership toolkit that have been updated, as well as suggestions for recruiting student membership. I was updating that, and one of the suggestions was offer free food, which continues, I think, to be the best way to recruit students to anything, as I can speak from experience. I loved when anyone offered me food at an event because, you know, you never know when you're a student. And then some templates. So for example, a lot of clubs have book sales as a huge fundraising event. So I created a template for a CFUW bookmark that you can get printed that has the URL to our web, or a QR code to our website on it. And a QR code and just different kind of templates. Then finally, we have the newsletter archives. So this is similar to in the other folders, archives of all of the newsletters sent out within that year, 2024 and then 2025. I typically update it once or twice a month, so sometimes it's a little bit behind. So I think the last one in here is from June 27th, so I have a update to do of July, but we try and keep it pretty up to date, as it's a convenient way to have kind of all of the newsletter archives in one space. And yeah, so this is the members drive. So like I said, it's very much what used to exist in several different places, but on the CFUW admin website, as well as the members only side of the CFUW website. And it's a lot of information. We understand that it can be difficult to kind of navigate sometimes, but it's a lot of good information that we're very happy to kind of share. Barbara?
The previous member-only part of the website was available to any member.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this member drive similarly available to any member?
Yes. So like I said, we have the link in every single Club Action newsletter, and clubs are welcome to share the link with the members of the club. We don't have it kind of on like the main page of the website because we want to make sure that like if there is personal information in these in any of these files, just that level of security. But yes, this is something that's available to all members of CFUW. And like I said, it's the link is shared in the Club Action newsletter, and clubs are welcome to share this with their club members, especially those that may be doing branding stuff, may be doing different stuff, advocacy, whatever you could possibly kind of think of in there. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the members drive. Excuse me. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to the database. So the database is specifically available to the executive members of CFUW clubs. So whatever your club's executive looks like, I know there are clubs that have they're called the executive team. There are people that have presidents, vice presidents, treasurers, etc. There are people that have co-presidents or different kind of executive members. But the member database is specifically for those executive members of clubs, as it is essentially where you'll be putting in your membership numbers to generate your invoices for the year. You're able to submit events and different things. And it is a huge benefit to national when we have the executive members information. So then we're able to, on our end, make different lists and email lists and categorize the different members. Like here are all the like membership people across the clubs and be able to contact them directly about things. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you have a login for the member database, it's at this top left-hand corner here where it says login. And this is the login for the member database. The username is your email address. If you ever have issues logging in or want to double check if you have a login, if you created an account, you're welcome to reach out to me, and I'm able to either reset your password or make sure that your account is set up for the database. And then once you're logged in, this is what you see. So this is the member database. So the database contains contact information, or it has, I need to update that, CFUW club executives, and essentially allows CFUW National to contact the different club executives with a lot more ease. And then yeah, I need to update that. There's also a link to the members drive here. So you're able to access the members drive from here as well. And then there's information about submitting your membership numbers. I'm just writing myself a note real quickly.
So anybody on the executive can have an account which is their own
Yes.
personal email address, and you just create a password, or is it the standard one?
Yes. Yes, so you create a password. So this is something that's also different from the previous kind of websites where there were login information. Previously, it was one login for each club, both for the CFUW admin website and the pre-existing database where clubs would submit their membership numbers, their donations, that website, if people remember. And it was one login. But with the member database, it is specific to the individual. So it's not a shared password or username across clubs. It is specific to that individual. So when you log in, you have upcoming events on the right-hand side here that are in the CFUW event calendar, which is also available on the main website. This year, we will be doing invoices through this system. The system is called Growth Zone. It's essentially a CRM, so like a customer relations or client relations manager system that works really well for associations. So it will be generated through Growth Zone, which is part of this database. And so it will show kind of the current balance that you owe for your CFUW dues once they are due. They'll also be sent out via email to the club treasurer and club president, but you'll also be able to view it in this database, which we're excited about. So yeah, so then along the left-hand side here are kind of your different options. So under here, I had a lot of fun making this fake account or fake club, CFUW Sesame Street, and its different members. So this is my new fun thing for me as I show off this. But once you're logged in, it will have your information. So it will have your name, your title within the executive. As I said, we understand that each club's a little different in terms of their executive and who's included, what titles they are, all of that. It will have your contact information. If you're part of a committee, it will be listed here. And you'll be able to see that there. So this is contact info, and you're able to edit this information. You're welcome to. Some people have filled in their professional bio. That's not required, but if you'd like to, that's your prerogative. But just clicking the pen, you're able to update information, your title, everything like that. Under membership, this is, it indicates if you're an opt-out or an opt-in club. And then status, it will say active for you. Courtesy just means that it's not a paying account because CFUW Sesame Street does not exist, unfortunately. Billing, so you can see Oscar the Grouch has a bill that he has to pay, but this is where your invoice will show as you, once we generate the invoices for the membership dues, it will show here. You'll be able to, let me see, you can download the invoice and it will download right to your computer. You'll see it pop up there, which is really convenient and similar to how we had it kind of work before. Clubs were able to download their invoice once they were generated, which was really convenient. Unfortunately, we won't be able to pay via this system because the kind of hosting fees for like credit cards and stuff is just a ridiculous amount, but you'll be able to view your invoice, make sure it's correct, everything like that. And you'll also be able to see your invoice history. So it will be marked as paid or something like that. So that is the billing info, and you can see it popped up over here. But back to my info. Related businesses is where the membership numbers are updated. So you'll see related business because Kermit the Frog is part of CFUW Sesame Street. That is his related business. If I was part of CFUW Aurelia, it would say CFUW Aurelia here, kind of thing. And then under here is where you can input all of the membership numbers, which will generate your invoice for the next year. So any dual GWI members, you fill that out there. Student members, GWI members, CFUW members. As well, underneath, you'll notice the membership details, and that is where you would input the number of new members that you have, that you've gotten, to have that for our records as well. Sometimes it won't show because it will just look like this. If you're not seeing the new members option underneath membership details here, you can just click this arrow and it pops back out. But this is where the membership numbers are filled in now. And how the invoices are generated. And then under related contacts is all of the other executive members of your club. That is where they will be listed. If any of you on the call today were deemed the primary contact for your club and had to update the exec information for this year, this is where you were doing it. Everyone's been doing a really fantastic job with that so far, so yay. We were a little scared because it's the new system and changing how we're doing things, but it's been really great. So you'll be able to see business name is all the same because they're all related. They're all part of the same organization. So again, this is CFUW Sesame Street, but if it was CFUW Barrie, it would have all the executive for CFUW Barrie, for example. The contact's name, their title, so president or member engagement coordinator, their advocacy chair, interest group lead, co-president. Again, whatever the title is, that's totally fine. We just like to make sure the titles are included so that we can make sure that we're updating things on our end appropriately and everyone is, we know what people do and who needs to be contacted for what. Barbara?
Is this what dictates who can set up their account in here?
So that is dictated by me, actually.
Okay.
I set kind of the settings, like the access settings or permissions. And so how we have it right now is essentially either the president or like the lead or sometimes the treasurer is deemed like the primary contact. And they're the ones that have control, unless told otherwise, like, oh, this person is our executive team lead, and so she's going to be responsible for this kind of thing. I designate a primary contact who's able to go in and like, so for example, actions on the right-hand side here, as a primary contact, and actually this is a good test to see if Kermit is a primary contact. So they're able to add or edit information in here. So like when the exec changes over or someone's no longer in a role or something like that. So maybe Big Bird is actually now like past president. A lot of clubs will have that as like an executive role. Past president. And actually, so Kermit the Frog is not a primary contact because they do not have. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm feeling very silly saying it out loud now. So because Kermit isn't a primary contact, not able to edit in here. I think it's Oscar that's primary. So if you're not primary, you will get this here. You do not have permission for this action. And feel free to reach out to me to check because that might be a mix up on my end, or I might have it for someone else who's no longer in that role. And also, like I said, it's still a lot of trial and error, just figuring out the system and making sure that I actually understand it and it's reflected. But yes, so there's specific permissions because we want to make sure that like not everyone can go in and delete people kind of thing. So that's kept to like a certain person, but then we make sure that people are able to go in and update, for example, the membership numbers and stuff like that. And you're able to edit all your own information. It's just as Kermit, I don't have the permission to edit Big Bird. I can't mess with someone else.
Yeah. Excuse me, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Can I interrupt for just a minute? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Just a quick question. I'm sure there's a simple answer, and I probably missed it, but I find that you're using the term executive, and I am a little unclear as to your definition of executive.
Yeah.
So if you could elaborate on that, because you've identified several other roles that could have access. And so, yeah, so enlighten me on
Yeah.
that.
No, absolutely. So that's something because when I say executive, I'm picturing essentially who would fall under like the idea of like the president or treasurer or leads of the club, if that makes sense. So,
Nationally.
Hmm?
Nationally.
Yes, yes. Well, this is at the club level.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm going to stop sharing for like 2 seconds and share a real club for a moment, just to give you an example, because we know that each club is a little different in terms of like what makes up their executive, and different alternative leadership. Leadership is essentially what I mean by executive. So the different chairs of, for example, like if you have like an interest groups chair or membership chair, or the positions that would be included in the directory that CFUW puts together that I've asked for previously or others have asked for previously. So for some clubs it is president, treasurer, vice president, advocacy chair. The more those kind of more rigidy ones. But okay, so let me see. Give me a second. Someone emailed me earlier this week about specifically like an executive team, so I want to use that as my example. Okay. Yes. And maybe if other people on the call have almost examples of how their club's quote unquote executive works, that would also be helpful. It's one of those things where we know it differs across the country for
Yeah.
different clubs. And so it's hard to have like one specific example, but essentially like kind of like almost like your top people. That's not a good way to word it either, but leadership of
Yeah.
some kind.
Okay, so I think that helps to explain it. I think if I can kind of summarize what I understand now, you're
Mm-hmm,
suggesting that it is up to the club to identify this leadership role.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and then once that has been done and they have indicated it in this membership database, so to speak, then that is
mm-hmm.
accepted, or is that monitored, and perhaps that's you would indicate then that no, that's not necessarily what we mean by executive
Yeah,
club.
if there's something like completely like we're like, oh, that
Yeah,
doesn't need to be
yeah,
here, we'll let
right.
you know, but it is at the discretion kind of
Mhm.
of the club,
Sure.
um, in terms of what they feel are important
Yeah.
positions to
Okay.
note.
That's good.
Uh, just 1 second, I'll just show you. This isn't exactly what I mean, but I'm just going to show you North Toronto. So they don't have all of their things filled out, but for example, Janet is the leadership team lead, uh, kind of thing. So leadership team, treasurer, membership chair, and they have other ones they have to update as well. But just the different kind of like those main positions that are considered leadership for your club. Barbara?
A couple of questions now. I wasn't sure which ones to put in when I did update,
Mm-hmm.
but you referenced interest groups lead, so I didn't put that in because I wasn't sure which ones you wanted. But it's the types of groupings that national may want to access because you want to reach out, like to all of the
Yeah,
advocacy people or all of the interest group people,
yeah,
this sort of stuff.
exactly. That's a great way to kind of word it there.
Okay, I think I've forgotten my original question, but oh yeah, because one of the things you mentioned earlier was having individual emails.
Yes.
Past President Catherine and I were talking. She thought we probably needed to have one common email address, so I was using what she used, and then she was wondering
Mm-hmm.
if our treasurer or if our membership administrator could be the one that enters the membership numbers.
Yeah.
So, uh, but I didn't realize that we should have our own individual accounts there versus using a club.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult because some have like specific, like some clubs will have like the generic emails, but some will have like specific to like CFUW Ottawa president, CFUW Ottawa treasurer, and like have it like more specific. So yeah, it's easier for the logins and stuff like that if they are different emails. But the membership chair is also able to put those membership numbers in. That's not a problem as well.
Okay, because
Hmm.
I think they weren't sure. Like our membership admin database manager is probably historically the one that has done it, but the treasurer did
Yeah.
last time. But it's um, but if I can put her in there, then it's
Yeah.
she's the one that's most familiar with the database and numbers and what.
Yes. No, absolutely. And that's the thing too. Like we know that for some clubs it's the treasurers that deal with kind of the membership numbers. For some clubs it is the membership chair. For some clubs it's the president. Like so we know it can fall under different people, and that's why we're also like whoever's your kind of leadership group, have them in here. That's not a problem. Um, it's just beneficial for our end, like you said, to kind of have all those kind of points of contact so that we know, like, oh, we want to reach out and find out about like interest groups across the country. I can easily be like, hello, all interest group people, differently worded, but that kind of idea.
Yes, because we do have organizational emails. So for
Yes.
those type of positions, it might be better to use oh darn, the organizational email for
Yes.
the industry
Yes.
coordinator, and then when it changes here to
That's what we encourage. If you do have club, like kind of those generic emails for your club that are membership chair at club name, that kind of thing, or like CFUW Ottawa president at gmail.com, whatever that kind of generic email is, that's nice because then it is that easy transfer over when it is a new position and the information can be updated. So it's the correct name and everything like that, but you don't have to worry about those emails changing. And that's what we've done for the different VPs as well as the RDs, is we've created like, it's like VP International at CFUW.ca, I believe. So then when it's a new year and there's a new VP International, all the VP International specific emails are in that folder and you don't have to worry about kind of losing that knowledge. So yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
Perfect. All right, so that's kind of that info section of the database. The directory listings. Oh yes, they're not in the directory because they're not real. One second. I'm using North Toronto as an example again. I hope they're okay with it. No, it doesn't. Second. All right. So the directory listing. So this is what shows up on the CFUW website for each club. We have our list of active clubs. So that's our kind of directory on the website. And so this is what is listed, and you're able to update the information on this end if you need to. If there's anything that needs to be updated, you can also let me know and I can make that update on my end. But through the database, you are able to kind of review the directory listing information. So your website, each club I've put kind of their specific logo, a little kind of just blurb about the club, and then different keywords for searching on the website, which is something I want to build out a bit more. But then you're also able, if you do make any updates, you can view the listing on the public website. And that's what it looks like there. You can find the main directory on the website as well. So this is the home page. Find your local club. And this is the active clubs directory that has all of the active clubs in CFUW. And like I was saying with those keywords, I just have it by province right now. But if you search, for example, Nova Scotia, oh, I typed that wrong, Nova Scotia. There's the two clubs that we have. Anything tagged Nova Scotia shows up. So there's the Nova Scotia clubs that we have. So that's the directory listing. If you want to make any edits, it's these little pens that you can click on and make updates there. Under my subscriptions, this shows for the CFUW Club Action newsletter and the GWI e-blast. If you're subscribed, a lot of people are subscribed because we've like transferred over the subscription list. And so you're subscribed for your email, but it's not necessarily connected to this account. It's a weird transfer over, but it is a good way you can check easily. Oh, yes, I have a check mark. That means I'm subscribed to the Club Action newsletter. And if you'd like to be subscribed to GWI, you can do that as well. If not, and it shows the email address that it's subscribed to, make sure it's going to the right place. So this is a good way to check as well. Ooh, where did I go? There we go. A good way to check as well in terms of your subscription, but also if you're not receiving the Club Action newsletter or the GWI e-blasts, and you should be, feel free to reach out to me and I can make sure that you are you're subscribed on my end. Make sure there's no things messing it up on my end. So this is the event calendar, which we think is also a very cool part of the database. So this is the events. We have the different events in here. You can see, so we have committee meetings, we have different sessions. So the GWI CFUW policy session, special board meetings, the drop-ins. We put in a lot of information, BC Council, the different regional councils. Again, if you're on the main page here, it's the events calendar. And we have all of these lovely events, the different committees, CAMIUS, BC Council, board meetings, all kinds of fun stuff. But what we've really been encouraging clubs to do is put their events in as well, if that's something that they would like to do. To kind of show off the different stuff that's going on across the country. We have this events calendar linked. You've probably seen at the bottom of the newsletter. It has kind of a list of the items that are included in the calendar.
Yes.
So they're there as well. And so how this works is, so up in the top right-hand corner, we have the add new event option. And so what you do is you would put your event name, a kind of a brief description of it. If it's in person and you want to put a location, you can put the location, but that's not required if you don't want to. The event date and time. Please note that this defaults to Eastern time. So if you're doing a different time zone, feel free to just note it in the hours here so I can make sure that that's correct on my end. And you don't have to worry about category or calendar. That's something I do. But so once you have filled out this information, you click done and that submits it to me. And then on my end, I will get a notification that I have an event to approve and it will pop up. Let me see, I have an event from like a club that I can show. So for example, I just got this recently, so the information was submitted. I'm like, okay, let me go in, make sure this is all correct. I mark the event. It comes to me as pending for approval. I mark it as approved. I categorize it as a club event and it's part of the main calendar. And then it gets added. And then on your end, once your event is approved, then you can go in and edit. You're able to edit the event in more, like a more robust way. So actually, let me go back to Kermit for this.
I know why you took it.
I'm just going to do a test event. So once that goes through, test event, I go back to my end. I have an event to approve. This is the back end of the Gross Zone platform. So you can see how much we can do with it. And it's fantastic. I love it very much. So this is the test event. I'm like, wow, what a great event you're hosting, Kermit. Looks so much fun. So then I mark it as approved. I'm not going to put it on the main calendar because I don't need that right now. And then in your database here, when did I have it scheduled for? Sorry. 21st. Oh, it passed. That's fine. Um, Invite 10-month view. It's not showing up. Sorry, 1 second. Not as seamless of an example as I wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we go back. Where's my test? Oh, I need to put it on there. That's why. Ignore me talking to myself. It's been a while since I did this. Okay. There it is. So then once your event has been approved, you'll be able to see it in the calendar. And up until the time it takes place, you're able to edit it and add more information. So it's this edit button on the top right-hand side, and you'll see it's a bit more, there's more options in terms of the information that's included about your event. You can add pictures, you can add hyperlinks, everything like that. So you're able to update, add pictures, make sure the information's correct. If there's a registration link, you can add that. And then it shows on the main event page, so you can see it right here. And typically what I do for events that are happening at the club level or kind of the regional level, I make sure to put the logo of that region or club. So then as you're just kind of scrolling through, you can see like the different committees, all of that. I don't have a lot. So BC Council, Charitable Trust, try and make it easy to tell the different club or committee that is hosting that event. But yes, so everything can be edited in here for the event, but also if you have any issues, you're welcome to reach out to me and I can do it from my end as well. Yes, Barbara?
One of the questions I'd sort of had as to which things do we put in here. The no natural thing is the ones that are available via Zoom. So anybody can join them, but were you interested in having other things there too, so that people get ideas of things? So like we're having in the fall, we have lunch and games.
Yeah,
And
that would be
obviously it's in
fantastic.
person, but another club could say, "Oh, that's an interesting idea."
No, exactly. So yeah, anything available over Zoom is great because other people can obviously attend, but also in-person events are great too. Essentially anything that you would be kind of advertising like to the public or other CFUW members. So for example, like the national level, we put the different committees and everything like that because we want members to know when committees are happening and that kind of like keep people informed. Before the club level, yeah, Zoom webinars. We've had people put in, like if I go back to like March when there was like a lot of stuff going on here, UNCSW. So Perth and District had a period product drive. So they put the information in for that. So it was included in the event calendar. Excuse me. Yeah, kind of anything you kind of want to like I've described it to other people as this is kind of our own little like it's a way to advertise what CFUW does and what CFUW clubs do, because people can go to the website and it's one of the first thing they see is the event calendar, and they can kind of scroll through and get an idea. So not necessarily every single interest group you have or your own club committees, but any kind of event that's sorry about that, open to the public. So yeah, for example, they had a meeting that had guest speakers, Milton and District, from Conservation Hamilton. So they included that. But yeah, the luncheon and games that you mentioned, that would be fantastic to include as well. Like you said, it's a great way to share what you're doing with other clubs, and they can get ideas of different things they can do. Kitchener-Waterloo had their book sale. I'll move it to list because it's kind of easier to see. I'm scrolling down. I wanted to go backward. But yeah, so any of those kind of events, we really encourage people to include. Anything that you would have shared prior in the sharing corner section of the newsletter when people would send their different events, whether it's anniversary celebration or different Zoom meetings or things like that. And then I realize we're just almost at 3, so I'll finish this really quickly.
Okay.
And then if people have questions,
Yeah.
you're welcome to ask. So finally, here is just this resources section of the members database. So it has that how-to submit events to the event calendar. We have a link to last year's directory, and so you're able to click on these and download them directly to your computer. We have the Members Drive guidebook that Mabinti created that I was showing you before. And then finally, we have another link to the Members Drive, just the more, the better. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing and I'll also stop recording.